So what did USAID do in 1967? The commander of the CIA rebel army buys 2 planes from 2 CIA airlines and then uses them to traffic and retail the drugs by selling them to the market in Vietnam, where we had special forces boots on the ground. So basically, it was wholesaled by the CIA in that case. And then it was the logistics for that network were provided by USAID. And then it was retailed to poor, unsuspecting souls all over Southeast Asia. Play the same game in the Golden Crescent with Afghanistan. Play the same game with the cocaine trade in its route from Peru and Bolivia up into Colombia and then up into the distribution networks in Miami, Los Angeles, Chicago, you name it. When you start having organized crime and drugs as the front end that retails the products and services that are wholesaled and part of a intelligence or military operation, you can't sell those drugs by having someone with a Department of Defense ID badge on the street corner, on 187th and Broadway. There are retail networks for that. And that is the role of many of these drug mule and organized crime networks all over the world. And I have serious concerns about networks in Chicago. I mean, Gary Webb obviously wrote all about this in Dark Alliance. And, there's all sorts of fantastic books on all of this if you want to read more, like Operation Gladio by Paul Williams. There's so much in this field, but the role of narcotics is in financing black budget military covert operations in every major place they spring. Is a black box that is not my crusade. I frankly, again, I wish we didn't even go here but I do feel like you do need to have a side-eye glimpse into some of these worlds to understand internet censorship, because you are going to find USAID NGOs. If Bukele had not done the radical reforms that he had, the internet would have been completely censored by USAID and the State Department in order to rig hearts and minds against him, because they would want to stop him from cleaning out these drug gangs. He would stop him from cleaning up the crime. But I come back to the U.S. Institute for Peace on a live URL as we speak, not even 2 years ago, made an impassioned plea to the Taliban to keep 95% of the world's heroin flowing. You have to explain that to the American people. That is the State Department's policy. If U.S. Institute of Peace is not going to go rogue against the State Department foreign policy there, because they're funded by the State Department. You see the same thing with these ISIS terrorist drug narco networks. Anyone remember the WikiLeaks email, Jake Sullivan to Hillary Clinton while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State? ISIS is on our side in Syria. Well, that means the more of those poppy crops that get retailed off to ISIS networks, the more powerful and well-financed they are, the more they can pay their soldiers or stop their soldiers from defecting from being mercenaries. And lo and behold, that same network just toppled the Syrian government. And I should note, structuring through USAID is the sauce to this, because there is a sitting tweet from the U.S. Embassy in Syria from 2017 when Trump was wiping out ISIS that put a $10 million bounty on the head of Mohammed al-Jilani, the commander of those forces, the current basically head of state in the interim government in Syria. There was a $10 million bounty on his head under Trump. They made the argument that his HTS group was an al-Qaeda spinoff and no al-Qaeda allowed. Well, according to his own military generals, who said this openly in mainstream media after the fact, we were constantly playing shell games with the numbers to hide the troop activity and what we were doing on the ground in Syria and the broader region. If you don't need a presidential finding to finance a terrorist group or a paramilitary group, it's too dirty for CIA. The president won't approve. Run it through USAID.